Would you say, or how much would you say emissions are considered during pre-build phases, design, procurement?
Again, from our level, I don't know, if somebody's doing a loft conversion and it's like, no, not really.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, like, it's not really massively concerned. Like, there's not a huge sort of consideration for it. But also the problem that we have at the moment is a cost implication for it. I spoke to a friend of mine who's an architect who was like, everybody wants a passive house until you see how much it costs.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, okay, we can't really do that. So, you know, if you really want it, you've got to pay for it.
Yeah.
And I think that's difficult for people to sort of comprehend. And like, I think the will is there. It's just when they're looking at the bill, it's difficult. And again, for us, there's not, I mean, look, LED lighting's a massive, you know, that's probably been the biggest thing in, 10, 15 years of like everybody switching over to LEDs and a massive, and the efficiency and the reduction in power usage through that. Solar and PV's, growing, which is good.
Yeah.
That's rightly so. But we're in London, so again, not much of a call for it. So
yeah.
I think the will is there. I think cost is the biggest issue at the moment.
Yeah, because people have got to live, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Like, not everybody can afford to put solar panels in or even go and switch over to LEDs, like you've said.
Exactly, yeah. So there is, I think that's a barrier that sort of, I mean, they need help, essentially. Yeah. The subsidy should come back. Well,
this is, I have listened to some stuff recently in preparation for this conversation, and the one argument that I've heard over and over again for the best way to address the climate crisis is to improve social mobility, because right now, if you start talking with the cost of living crisis, you talk to people about, or you try and bludgeon people with, you need to do this to save the planet, but they're thinking, but all I want to do is feed my kids because that's my main focus.
Exactly. Yeah.
Then how are we ever going to see a mass effective change?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, particularly with PV, it's like, the subsidies that was there, a long time ago, maybe even 10 years ago, was great when you had the feed-in tariff.
Yeah.
And that's a good incentive. And there's a few of my customers are still on it. But
right,
okay. That would be a massive thing to bring back. That would be great.
Yeah.
And also, what we were saying earlier as well, there's still VAT being paid on reclaimed materials.
Right, yeah.
It's like, if you want to use reclaimed wood or stuff like that, why are you paying VAT on it?
Yeah.
It's just, that if you remove that VAT, you could, you would take the attractiveness for virgin materials away.
Right.
Because you'd be like, this is cheaper, we can just use it, not paying VAT on it.
Yeah,
so,
that's true. I mean, even when we're, we want to do things better here, and if we go and say if we printed a new brochure, for example, and we go and look, and virgin material versus recycled, I obviously want to do recycled, but I've got a budget and I've got the demands of the business to meet, and we'll always consider it if it's not crazy, but in many cases it's double the price. Exactly.
Yeah, I know. It's a real difficult thing. Like I said, people want to make the right choices, but it's financials.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think the key takeaway in relation to this of how perhaps people can drive a bit more positive change is to do whatever is in your control.
Exactly.
So you can't, for example, control the materials that are available to you to install, but you can choose to not drive a car and use the power.
Well, that podcast which I originally got in touch with you about, who was it? Lee Jackson. Lee Jackson.
Yeah.
When I was listening to it, and it basically was talking about us.
Yeah.
And I was like, that basically, okay, you've got the materials there. What can you do? And it's like, we use a bike. It's not zero carbon, it's low carbon. That's what you can do for it. And so that's what we had control over.
Yeah.
So that's why we do it. It's like, okay, as a new company, this has got to be at the heart of everything.
Right.
It has to be. So you really have to think it like, okay, what are we going to do about this? And this is our solution for it.
Okay.
That's part of the reason why we choose that, is because as any kind of modern business, you have to have the environment at the heart of the main concern of it.
Yeah.